My name's Liam Dorsey. 28, broke. And if you ask my father, one clumsy drone pilot away from bankruptcy. Tonight, fluorescent lights hum above Grandma Helen's ICU bed, painting everything the color of soured milk. Her oxygen mask fogs with each shallow breath. She blinks once, twice, as if measuring whether I'm still worth believing in. Across the room, Dad Mark Riverfront Shark Dorsey pulls a sterling silver pen from the inner pocket of his monogrammed blazer. The pen alone probably costs more than my entire camera kit. Beside him, Aunt Tracy Dorsey Banks aims her phone at perfect selfie angle, ring light halo reflecting in her iced-out contact lenses. TikTok waits for no crisis. Mark, we need signatures before midnight, she whispers, tapping the resort contract displayed on her tablet. Investors in Dubai are watching the timestamp. Dad's pen glides across the page, signing away Helen's Haven, Grandma's nonprofit nursing home on Isle of Hope, to a private equity shell called Coastal Crown Resorts. Helen's still breathing, but the ink is already dry. My stomach flips, the same way it did when he sold off my childhood treehouse to make space for his first starter condo. I step forward, sweat dampening the straps of my beat-up camera bag. Dad, she's alive. You can't sell her life's work while she can still fight for it. He doesn't look up. Real estate never sleeps, kiddo. And neither do hospital bills. There it is, the casual brutality of capitalism, distilled into a single fatherly shrug. Grandma's heart monitor beeps like a ticking metronome. I smell antiseptic, feel latex glove powder itch my forearms, taste the coppery tang of rage on my tongue. I angle my phone so the contract, my father's signature, and my grandmother's frail frame all fit in one shot. Truth needs proof. Hook locked. If you're already burning up inside for Helen, smash like, hit subscribe, and comment Stavers should save the oak, because this fight's about to get swamp deep messy. The weight of Spanish moss. Savannah's historic district raised me on postcard beauty and moldy secrets. Riverboats blast tourist jazz, while developers carve the marshes into luxury docking slips. Helen's Haven is the final low-income holdout on Isle of Hope, a wraparound porch Victorian shaded by a 300-year-old live oak. That oak matters. Grandma says it once hid runaway slaves. Last year it shaded my drone crew while we taught nursing home residents to fly virtual reality kites. When its branches sway, the seashell wind chime she strung 50 years ago sings a lullaby only Savannah can hum, brittle, persistent, impossible to ignore. Dad calls it dead capital. Aunt Tracy calls it content, a perfect backdrop for her wealth without guilt webinars. I call it home. But home doesn't pay property tax. And in a city where riverfront lots fetch seven-figure offers before breakfast, sentimental value is an endangered species. That's the bet Kong my family measures human worth in square footage and click-through rates. While the people who raised me are forced to choose between rent and medication, the first cut hospital visiting hours end. I walk the rain-slicked streets toward the Victorian I'm renting month to month. Knuckles white around my phone. The video of Dad signing the contract sits in my gallery like a live grenade. Post it. And I risk being sued or worse, disowned. Stay silent. And I become an accessory to cultural erasure. Thunder rolls over the river. I imagine bulldozers tearing up Grandma's tomato beds, drilling rigs poisoning the creek where residents fish for bream, yacht motors drowning the lullaby of a shell wind chime. My chest tightens until each breath squeaks. I need ground truth. So I sprint to my van, yank open the back doors, and cradle my custom-rigged DJI drone Battery full, SD card empty. This isn't a travel vlog flight. It's reconnaissance. I drive over the narrow, arched causeway to Isle of Hope. Tires hissing on slick asphalt. Midnight humidity fogs my windshield. At the Haven, lightning silhouettes machinery behind construction fencing, illegal after-hours soil core drills. There were a mosquito scream in the marsh. They've already started. Rage and panic fuse into focus. Barefoot. I climb the porch steps, heart hammering. A ribbon of yellow police-style tape flutters private property coastal crown. Hinges groan as I nudge the front door. Inside smells of lavender soap and fresh-baked cornbread. Grandma's Thursday ritual overpowered now by wet concrete. The corridors, once lined with resident watercolors, stand empty, artwork piled in a janitor's cart like trash. I swallow bile. Something else is missing. The seashell wind chime. Its hook dangles bare, string frayed, shards gone. Somebody stole the Haven's heartbeat. Maria's warning footsteps. I freeze. Camera raised, but it's only Maria Rivera. Head nurse, flashlight gripped like a baton. Rainwater drips from her curls. You shouldn't be here, she whispers. Neither should core drills at midnight. I counter. She hands me a crumpled envelope, Foundation crack photos, toxicology reports, emails scheduling accidental leaks to declare the building unsafe. Mark's crew is poisoning the marsh to force an emergency condemnation, she says. Voice trembling but steady. Eye infections. Dizziness residents thought it was allergies. It's benzene. A siren wails distant on the river. Maria's 2 children wait asleep in her Camry. Her ex threatens deportation if she starts trouble. She's risking everything. That makes her the Nhan Vat Thuba the catalyst. I tuck the envelope into my hoodie. Pulse pounding. Outside, floodlights snap on, sweeping the porch like prison yard spots. Maria ducks. Go! She hisses. Save the footage. Save the oak. Flight for evidence. I sprint into the backyard, mud squelching between my toes. Rain needles my scalp. With shaking fingers, I power the drone. Propellers screaming above the storm, HUD lights blink emerald. I throttle up 40 feet, 80 until Isle of Hope unfurls like a trembling photograph. My headset streams live to an unlisted channel. The feed shows excavators idling beside stacks of rebar, generators humming. Then movement. 2 security guards see my drone lights. One raises a rifle-style signal jammer. Static flickers across my goggles. If they jam the signal, the SD card might corrupt and my proof evaporates. I pitch forward, chasing the creek, hugging the tree line. In infrared, the marsh glows, and there a barge dumping cement test blocks, sludge plume blooming like cancer. Timestamp, GPS caught, but the jammer locks on. Red bars slash my HUD. Controls lag. The drone yaw spins, camera whirling. I curse, adrenaline spiking. Come on, baby. Hold altitude, I whisper, thumbs dancing over joysticks. Signal drops to 1 bar. Another hit and I lose everything. I dive toward Grandma's oak, using the canopy as natural cover. The drone skims branches. Raindrops smear the lens into kaleidoscopes of lightning. Beep, 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 battery low. I override return to home, guiding it under the porch roof. Touchdown. Motors cut. I yank the SD card, shove it into my wallet. Lights flood the yard guards approaching. Mud sucks at my soles as I bolt through side hedges, thorns ripping my ankles. At the causeway, my van waits. Engine coughs awake. Tires spit gravel. In the mirror, Haven floodlights shrink to fireflies. My hands tremble so hard the steering wheel judders. But the card is safe. Back downtown, I upload one still-frame cement plume gushing beside Coastal Crown's barge captioned "Midnight Dumping at Grandma's Nursing Home Receipts Dropping, Ninta, M." The post grabs 20 retweets before I even set my phone down. Exhaustion drapes over me. Salt and mud drying on my skin. I sink onto my thrift store couch. Drip tracks across hardwood. Lightning flashes. Router lights blink and my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I swipe. "You're playing with fire, drone boy." Dad's voice. Chilled steel. Delete that post. Come to my office at dawn. Alone. Otherwise, Helen's Haven isn't the only thing getting buried. Call ends. Screen cracks from how hard I grip. Outside. The storm rattles windows. And somewhere in the city, Dad sharpens the next pen stroke meant to erase me. Grandma has 8 hours until morning meds. I have 8 hours to decide cave, or drop the evidence and scorch every bridge I was born to cross. Sunrise creeps through my blinds in weak, whiskey-colored stripes, but I haven't slept. The SD card with last night's footage sits on my coffee table like a live grenade. Beside it, a single chipped seashell I rescued from Grandma's wind chime pocket warm, salt still crusted in its grooves. Every few minutes, I turn it over. The way gamblers finger prayer coins. Dad told me to show up at his riverfront office alone. Part of me wants to upload the raw video right now. Consequences be damned. The other part remembers Grandma's voice. Wait for the right page. Liam, then turn it loud. I slide the shell into my jacket, grab the card, and head into a muggy Savannah dawn that already smells of pluff mud and ambition. The lobby of Dorsey Development Group feels like Wall Street went to cotillion marble floors, magnolia arrangements, flat screens looping drone footage of gleaming condo towers, ironically shot by me back when I needed rent money. Dad's receptionist, dressed corporate chic, flinches when she sees the mud stains on my sneakers. "Mr. Dorsey is waiting," she murmurs, as if guiding me to a dental extraction, inside the glass-walled conference room. Dad studies the river like a general surveying occupied territory. Aunt Tracy tweaks her phone's lighting. Her live stream audience is already climbing. Uncle Frank lurks by the minibar, eyeing the bourbon, but pouring black coffee hands, trembling just enough to spill a drop on his monogram. Dad turns, smile polished. "Glad you came, son. Sit." I stay standing. "You threatened me." "Correction," Tracy chirps without looking up. "He protected family assets. Internet mobs are ugly. One post and the resort's valuation drops 8 figures. We can't have that, especially when Frank's exposure is fragile." Frank coughs, guilt fogging his glasses. Dad slides a folder across the table. "Sign this NDA. Turn over the footage, and I'll wire 50 grand to your account before lunch. That covers your loans, plus a down payment on your own condo. You like river views, right?" I flip the folder shut. "You're poisoning wetlands and bribing inspectors. No condo can buy that stain off my hands." Dad's jaw flexes. "Wetlands recover. Fortunes don't." I drop the envelope Maria gave me. Benzene reports. Foundation cracks, forged timestamps. Neither do people who drink contaminated creek water. For the first time, Tracy's ring light glow falters. She kills the stream, face draining. Dad scans the papers, nostrils flaring. "You stole internal documents. That's corporate espionage. Whistleblowing." I correct. and it goes public in 2 hours. I tap the SD card against the folder for punctuation. A tense beat. Then Dad leans back. False calm. Fine. You want a stage? How about a courtroom? He nods to a junior lawyer hiding behind a legal pad. File an emergency injunction, copyright violation, defamation, whatever sticks. Judge Mayfield owes me a favor. My pulse skitters, but I keep my voice flat. Maybe Mayfield does. Federal judges harder to buy. I turn to the glass wall, watching barges chug upriver. I've already scheduled a live stream at 9. If the feed gets blocked, mirrors auto-post to 30 different servers. You can't plug that many holes. Tracy's phone pings news alerts, mushrooming anonymous drone footage teases coastal crown dumping scandal. She mutters, algorithms picking it up, engagement's insane. Dad slams the folders shut. Leave while you still have my name. I'll keep Grandma's instead, I say, slipping the SD card into my pocket. The chipped seashell presses against my thigh like a compass needle. I walk out before the silence detonates. Outside, humidity wraps me in a wet blanket. My van's AC died months ago, so I crank the windows and drive straight to Forsyth Park, heart of Savannah's Sunday soul. Farmers' tents flap in the breeze, joggers weave around tourists, photographing the marble fountain. I set up a makeshift tripod under an oak canopy, phone balanced on top. Morning, folks, I tell the lens, voice steadier than my spine. At 9 o'clock sharp, I'll show you what really happens after midnight on Isle of Hope, the kind of progress that never lands in glossy brochures. I schedule the stream, pin the countdown, then text the link to Maria. She replies with a single thumbs up and a photo her kids holding homemade signs, "Protect our grandmas." With 30 minutes to spare, I duck into Bonaventure coffee roasters for caffeine and stable Wi-Fi. The barista, a tattooed SCAD grad, recognizes me. Hey, drone boy, your skyline time-lapse is screensaver gold. She glances at my mud-flecked jeans. Rough night. You could say that. I tap into a back booth, laptop humming. Tweets multiply like kudzu vines environmental groups. Retiree forums, even a niche true crime podcast begging for exclusives. Hashtag Chidge Save Isle of Hope trends regionally. Each retweet feels like a sandbag on a levee pressure rising, but maybe enough to hold the corporate flood for a day. Then a DM pops from James Carter. Grandma's probate lawyer heard you have new evidence. I can petition for a restraining order on demolition if you share files ASAP. I zip the toxicology PDFs, hit send. My cursor hovers over the drone footage. Last night's static jitter still haunts my vision, but raw truth hits harder than polished edits. I drop the file. Upload progress crawls 85%, 92%, then my screen freezes. Wi-Fi symbol spins. The cafe lights flicker. Power outage. Generator fails. Everyone groans. I shove my laptop into my bag and sprint outside. A utility truck idles at the curb, worker patching a fuse box. Coincidence, maybe. But my gut screams sabotage. Dad's reach stretches longer than Spanish moss. I yank my phone, LTE's alive. The upload resumes, slower but climbing. 15 minutes to go. I kill time pacing the fountain path, rehearsing talking points, contaminated soil, forged inspection stamps, the oak's heritage status. But another thought gnaws me, Grandma's morning meds. Did the night nurse give them? Did Dad cut corners there? 2? Guilt thickens the air until each inhale tastes of mildew. 10 minutes. My phone buzzes Uncle Frank. Against better judgment, I answer. Liam, he whispers, voice cracked like a blown speaker. They froze my accounts. If this blows up, bankruptcy wipes me out. Can't you delay 30 days? Give Mark time to pivot. Frank, people could die from that benzene. How many days do they get? He exhales shards of silence. Then at least know this. Tracy's stake isn't just affiliate money. Coastal Crown offered her equity if she delivers full ownership by quarter's end. She'll do anything. Kid, anything. He hangs up. My palms bead sweat. Betrayal inside betrayal, a matryoshka doll of greed. I pocket the phone. Shoulders vibrating. Showtime. 9 a.m. The live stream goes hot. Comments surge faster than I can read fire emojis. Prayer hands. Shark gifs tagged Mark the Menace. I hold up the chipped seashell to the camera, turning it until morning sun glints off the fracture line. This, I say, is what they stole first, a lullaby, a warning, a promise. I cue the drone footage. The cement plume gushes across the screen. Gasps ripple through the chat. I narrate timestamps, GPS coordinates, benzene levels, people screenshot, tweet, tag the EPA. Midstream, a twist detonates. Viewers drop links to a completely different scandal, Coastal Crown's Miami project, fined for sewage leaks. Receipts scroll like rolling credits. My heart cartwheels. We've hit a vein. But halfway through Q&A, the stream pixelates, audio warps. A system message blinks, content blocked due to pending legal claim. Dad's injunction found legs. Comments explode in panic, feed canceled, mirror the file, view count plummets to 0. I scramble for backup servers, fingers stumbling. Then my phone rings, Maria. Breathless. Liam. Security's here at the Haven. They're moving residents onto buses, say the building's condemned, effective immediately. The Oak, the residents, Grandma's legacy loaded like livestock. I grab my camera bag, sprint for the van. Tires squeal onto Victory Drive. Coffee splashing my shirt. In the rear view, thunderheads swell over the river. Dark as foreclosure ink. Blue lights strobe across my windshield, pooling in the sweat on my palms. The officer ahead gestures for me to pull aside. But every instinct screams, move now or lose everything. In my rearview mirror, the white buses rumble forward. Coastal Crown relocation banners slapped over their windows like polite gag orders. Grandma's neighbors, veterans, widows, church ushers are inside those tin cans, clutching medication bags in confusion. I stamp the clutch, swing the van onto the grassy median. Gravel spits, horns blare. A deputy lunges, too slow. I'm already weaving through oncoming traffic, tires fishtailing on slick asphalt. The chipped seashell in my pocket jabs my thigh, a prickly reminder that some rules were made for people who still trust the system. Show, don't tell. My chest rattles against the seatbelt. The steering wheel bucks like a live thing. Behind me, sirens bloom. Ahead, the causeway rises, a 2-mile ribbon over marsh water the color of sweet tea, hemmed by reeds and egrets. If they close that bridge, the Haven is gone. I jam my phone into the dash clip. Double tap go live. Folks, I tell the camera between ragged breaths. Savannah PD is blocking public access to Isle of Hope so a private developer can ghost people out of their nursing home. If I vanish, you'll know why. Comments explode. Call the mayor. Stay safe. Liam. Wind howls through the cracked window, carrying salt and diesel. One bus edges past me in the right lane. Through its fogged pane, I spot Mrs. Avery 91. woe want to be, codebreaker pressing a trembling hand to the glass. Her lips form my name. The image sears like flash powder. I gun the engine, slip between the bus and a county cruiser. The deputy's loudspeaker booms, "Pull over now." Instead, I yank the wheel, exit onto the narrow shoulder, and rocket ahead. Heartbeats later, I'm across the bridge, tires thumping the wooden expansion joints. No police in front yet. The haven looks like a crime scene built by wedding planners. Pink eviction ribbons flutter on porch rails. Security guards in brand new tactical vests point residents toward folding tables stacked with waiver forms. Generators hum beside a diesel crane whose boom hovers over Grandma's live oak like a guillotine. I kill the engine and leap out. Humidity slams me thick, sticky, swamp sweet. Camera in one hand, phone streaming in the other. I push through the crowd. "Stop recording," a contractor growls, reaching for my lens. Georgia's a one-party consent state. I shoot back. And guess what? I'm that party. He hesitates. The live stream chat pelts fire emojis at him. I duck under his arm and find Maria Rivera corralling 24 residents beneath a pop-up tent. Sweat beads on her forehead, but her eyes burn righteous. They forged a structural emergency report, she says, thrusting a clipboard at me. Signed by an inspector who died last year. I called the licensing board, no one there today. It's Juneteenth observed. They planned this blackout. Dad's favorite holiday, the one where banks are closed. I mutter. The camera captures Maria's words. Commenters drop links to the inspector's obituary. Digital detectives at work. A bullhorn crackles. Aunt Tracy Dorsey Banks stands on a flatbed trailer in spotless white boots. Ring light clipped to the bullhorn handle. Friends. We're relocating residents temporarily for safety. She flashes influencer's smile. Teeth like bleached ambition. Coastal Crown is committed to excellence. I zoom in. Her bracelet reflects the sun tiny gold sharks linked nose to tail. Symbolism's on sale today. And every guest will receive 5-star medical care downtown. She concludes, it ignoring the booing. That's not a guest list. Maria fires back, voice raw. That's a hostage manifest. Applause erupts from townsfolk. Grocery clerks, even tourists who followed my ping and showed up holding iced coffees like protest torches. Among them, Abby Tran, SCAD architecture student and 3D wunderkind, waves a rolled-up poster. She elbows through. Liam. I rendered the Emerald Haven retrofit overnight. She unfurls a glossy panorama solar roof, accessible garden ramps, the oak crowned in fairy lights. Phones rise to photograph it. Hope gains pixels. Tracy's smile twitches. Cute drawing, honey. But drawings don't pay for roof joists. Neither do bribes. Abby lifts her phone. An email thread fills the screen. Tracy negotiating cryptocurrency kickbacks with a Cayman address. Crowd gasps. My live stream chat detonates. Send to DOJ tag Elizabeth Warren. Dad strides from the mansion doorway, neck veins pulsing. Shut this circus down. He signals a foreman who pulls a remote. The crane engine revs. Its steel cable lowers a chainsaw-wielding arborist toward the oak's highest limb. The oak's leaves shiver, although there's no wind. My spine ices. That tree is registered as a heritage. Live oak tampering without a judge's order is a felony. Dad's gambling no one will prosecute fast enough. Maria, stall the buses. I hiss, sprinting across churned soil. Mud sucks at my sneakers. Chainsaw roar splits the humid air. I launch my drone, one-handed props whirring, heartbeat loud as rotor blades. The HUD locks onto the arborist's orange vest, auto-tracking. Streaming to the Library of Congress this time. Dad sneers, blocking my path. To every newsroom east of the Mississippi, I answer. Smile. I tilt the controller. The drone hovers beside his face, camera tight on his scowl. Chat explodes with shark emojis. Dad's security goons advance. Before they can grab me, Abby projects the Cayman emails onto the mansion's white facade using a pocket laser projector, letters 10 feet tall. Payment confirmed, crypto transfer complete. Gasps turn into cell phone flashes. Then twist. A rusted pickup barrels up the driveway. Door swings open, and Uncle Frank stumbles out, waving a briefcase. Eyes bloodshot, tie askew. Mark, he yells, stop the cut. The board just froze our credit line. Your collateral, my house, it's default if the oak comes down. Dad falters, mask cracking. He snaps fingers at the foreman. Hold position. Chainsaw stalls mid-limb, sawdust drifting like yellow snow. Frank lurches toward me, thrusts the briefcase. Bank memos, loan docs, everything. Get them to the press. I'm done covering for sharks. His whisper shards, just save my kid's college fund. I nod, throat tight. Frank, flawed, frightened, has just become another Nhanvat Thuba, tipping the scale. Sirens wail city inspectors, and 2 EPA agents roll in, summoned by 1,000 retweets. Crowd parts like a living tide. An agent in a Navy windbreaker flashes a badge. All operations cease. This site is under federal review. Dad's face drains. Tracy lowers her bullhorn. Mascara rivulets streak porcelain cheeks. For a breath, the world hushes, hanging by a frayed seashell string. Then a new sound, crack, crack. Everyone looks up. The chainsaw, left hanging, tugs at the half-cut limb. Wood fibers snap. The arborist scrambles down his harness, but gravity's quicker. The massive branch plunges, ripping smaller limbs, tearing decades of history. It thunders down straight toward the tent where residents huddle. Time slows to honey. I sprint, legs leaden. Maria shouts for people to scatter. Abby drags a wheelchair clear. The limb crashes with a boom that shudders the ground and carves a crater in the lawn. Silence, then sobs. Then phones rise again, lenses shaking. Miraculously, no one is crushed. But the oak bleeds sap like amber tears. Its trunk lists, root crown heaving. The symbol Grandma cherished now stands maimed alive, yet mortally wounded, unless braced tonight. An EPA agent radios for an emergency arborist. Dad seizes the moment, voice booming. Sea trees unstable, must come down, safety first. Boos drown him out. But his lawyers note every word. If that tree's condemned, the heritage protection dies, and so does our injunction. I kneel beside the shattered limb, hand brushing splinters. Beneath bark, a hollow cavity yawns inside. A rust-spotted tin box I've never seen. Storm-felled fate. I pry it free, heart hammering. Crowd presses close. The camera drone hovers, feeding 250,000 viewers. The lid squeals open to reveal envelopes, each sealed with Grandma's floral wax. On top, a deed. Faintly stamped, first right of refusal. Emerald Haven Nonprofit Trust. Date 2 weeks before her stroke. If this document is valid, I hold the bulletproof veto my father can't buy. My eyes sting. Maria whispers. Helen left us armor. But behind the crowd, a bulldozer grumbles to life. Dad's crews reposition, betting the inspectors will call the oak irreparable before sunset. I clutch the tin box, gaze at the wounded tree swaying under a bruised sky, and feel the seashell in my pocket vibrate like a distant alarm. Everything inside me wants to freeze frame this moment, oak bleeding amber. Tin box heavy in my backpack. Crates of eviction waivers fluttering like surrender flags, but the inspector's deadline ticks louder than the generators. Dawn is 6 hours away. If the heritage tree can't be stabilized by then, it's condemned. And Coastal Crown wins by act of nature. Grandma's life work dies on a technicality. I wipe sawdust from my eyelashes and force air into my lungs. Decision time. Liam. I open the tin box under a camping lantern's glow. Inside Grandma's handwritten trust deed. Blue ink signature steady as ever. Plus a letter labeled, "In case fear gets loud." I shove the envelope into my jacket for later. I need action, not comfort. First call Abby Tran. She answers from the Haven's rec room, already converting her 3D retrofit model into structural schematics. Live oak roots spread wide, not deep, she says. We need radial braces and a tension belt. Think spinal surgery for trees. Translation: 10 tons of lumber, 2 winches, steel cable, 8 qualified climbers. At midnight. On Juneteenth. In the South. Crowdsourcing, I tell her. Send me the materials list. I'll shake the internet. Next call Maria Rivera. She's coordinating evacuee triage in the chapel. Kids asleep on pews. If you can't save the tree, save the people, she pleads. I promise both. She patches me through to Sergeant Malik Johnson. Savannah fires off-duty Union Chief, retired smoke jumper. Rumored to hate developers more than arson. When Malik hears heritage oak and benzene leaks, he growls, "Give me 30 minutes and a flatbed." I go live from beneath the swaying canopy, phone propped against a root burl. Lantern light paints my face ghost white. Midnight crew, assemble, I say. We need lumber, cable, and hands no paycheck, no glory, just legacy. Comments scroll so fast, my eyes blur on my way. I've got a chainsaw. Sharing to tree talk. The seashell shard in my pocket taps my thigh, keeping tempo with the chat. While volunteers converge. I text Uncle Frank, need floodlights. Bank truck empty. He replies with a pin drop to a foreclosed job site stocked with site lights and a diesel tower. Keys in wheel well, don't let Mark know. Betrayal cuts both ways. 17 mm. Thunder rumbles offshore, Hurricane Seraphine veering closer than forecast. Great. Dad's crane crews retreat to their trailers, leaving machinery idling. I slip past, praying they won't notice the growing militia of tree huggers. Malik arrives, first flatbed stacked with telephone pole scraps. Union fire crest gleaming in headlight glare. Bought at auction for hurricane prep, he says. Wink sharp. Tonight they're charity. A group of construction workers from TikTok assemble winches. A pair of climbing arborists in neon harnesses rig ascenders. Abby spreads blueprints over the ambulance gurney, outlining brace angles with a Sharpie. The oak becomes a patient, everyone scrubbing in, but time hemorrhages. The inspectors hover, clipboards ready to document failure. Dad emerges from his trailer, holding coffee like a trophy. Hero complex won't stop entropy. He calls. Tracy films from behind him, ring light banishing her mascara streaks. You're trending. Liam, make sure your fans see you lose. I bite my cheek until the copper taste returns. 2 to 12 m. First twist, Savannah Lumber Yard DMs me. They've donated timber, but their driver just got flagged at a police checkpoint. Accident, the officer claims. Random DUI screening. Dad's fingerprints all over it. Malik barks into his radio. 15 minutes later, a convoy of shrimpers in rusty pickups backs through the Haven gates. Beds piled with hurricane shutters, rough-cut cypress planks, dense enough to chew nails. Not pretty, but strong. We adapt. 2:47 Mepsem. Rain starts. Fine needles turning dust to paste. The arborists climb with headlamps, looking like fireflies in a cathedral. They loop steel cables around the main trunk, secure pulleys, shout down tension numbers. Each crank handle sends vibrations through the root plate. The oak groans, then settles, trunk realigning by precious inches. Abby checks the seismometer app on her phone. Movement falls below the catastrophic threshold. Hope tastes like wet bark, yet Batcong never sleeps. Dad powers up his crane, swinging it inches from the live rigging. Alarms beep, our cables tremble. Any unauthorized modification voids heritage status. He yells, citing a zoning clause no one's read. Inspectors exchange anxious glances. If the sway test fails, they'll halt us. Maria steps forward. Children clustered behind her. Unauthorized modification, you mean life support. She raises a clipboard, the forged emergency order Tracy filed earlier, now stamped void by the state licensing board after online watchdogs flooded tip lines. Cameras flash. The inspector nods. Our brace work continues. Nan Vat Thu Ba strikes again. 3:30 a.m. Second twist, coastal crown security kills the generator powering our floodlights. Darkness swallows the yard. Chains clank. Voices curse. My drone's LED array becomes the only beacon. Batteries draining fast. Panic prickles. Then headlights sweep in the Farmers Market Coalition, towing a carnival generator powered by soybean biodiesel. They hook cables. Lights roar back, painting Dad's crane in circus red. Crowds cheer like Friday night football. 4 or 5 a.m. We anchor the final diagonal brace. Sergeant Malik signs off on torque readings, but the inspector demands a wind shear demo. 20 mph sustained, he says. Nature obliges. Seraphine's feeder band gusts roll over the marsh. Everyone steps back. Leaves ripple. Cables sing high metallic notes. But the big oak holds. Trunk firm as courthouse marble. The inspector raises his flashlight. Voice crisp, temporary stabilization accepted pending arborist report. Cheers erupt. Tears stripe Abby's cheeks. I sag against a root, heartbeat finally unclenching. The seashell shard in my pocket feels warm, almost humming. Dad storms forward, coat soaked, ego drowning. You think you've won court, still decide ownership. Shareholders, zoning boards, real power. His voice breaks on the last word. For a heartbeat, I see fear, not fury. I unzip my backpack. Produce Grandma's deed, plastic sleeved against rain. Power's been decided. She deeded first refusal to a nonprofit trust, Emerald Haven, with me as trustee. I hand a copy to the inspector. Camera flashes strobe. Tracy gasps, live stream involuntarily swiveling to her as chat fills with shark emojis and broken heart gifs. Dad lunges, grabs the document. Rain smears the ink from his fingertips. But the notary seal refuses to fade. Forgery. He snarls. Maybe. I pull out Grandma's letter, the one meant for when fear got loud. I break the wax. Inside her original fountain pen draft of the trust, plus Polaroids of her signing before a smiling Mark Dorsey, dated 5 years ago. She anticipated his amnesia of conscience. Inspectors compare signatures. Dad's jaw slackens, as if gravity finally noticed arrogance weighs a ton. Maria reads over my shoulder. If the tree still stands, love still stands. She exhales like prayer, but lightning forks nearby, rattling everyone. The weather app screams, "Tornado watch until 7 a.m." Seraphine just upgraded again, gusts predicted to 60 mph. Our braces were tested at 20, wood creaks, cables ping. The inspector swears stabilization may fail under those loads. Evac order goes back in if readings exceed threshold. Residents shiver, clutching blankets. Volunteers eye the storm wall advancing across the marsh. Slate clouds lit from within. We saved the oak from chainsaws now, Mother Nature wants her say. Abby does math aloud. Add 2 more guy wires. We hit 45-mile tolerance. She scans the yard. All cable is exhausted except the one coil strapped to Dad's crane boom. Everyone turns. Dad follows our gaze, sets his jaw. "No," he says, backing up. Sergeant Malik cracks his knuckles. "Sir, you can donate that spool or watch the news blame you for every splinter." Cameras pan. Tracy's phone captures the standoff in brutal HD. Chat chanting, "Cut the cable." Dad's shoulders slump. He motions to the foreman. The coil thuds to the grass, wet steel rattling like fallen armor. 4:47 a.m. Volunteers lash the extra wires, tightening turnbuckles until the oak sings a deeper note, almost a bass chord underneath the storm's whistle. Abby's app ticks 45 mph capacity reached, but forecast gusts may peak at 50. I livestream the final inspection. Viewers worldwide hold digital breath. The inspector measures sway, signs a temporary heritage protection order, valid through hurricane season. Applause mingles with thunder. Relief floods me so hard, my knees buckle. And then, last-minute twist. My phone buzzes with a news push. Breaking Coastal Crown secures emergency federal infrastructure grant to convert Isle of Hope into climate-resilient marina demolition permits, fast-tracked under disaster mitigation clause. Dad played a longer game if weather destroys the haven. He cashes federal money, not investor money. Lightning stabs the river. Wind punches the braces. One cable snaps with a gunshot crack. Whiplashing sparks. People scream. Tree lurches but settles. Still alive for now. Lightning skitters across the marsh like shattered neon. And for a split second, the oak's wounded canopy glows green-white against the bruise-colored sky. Wind slaps the tarps, rain spits sideways. My pulse bangs in my throat, louder than the generator hum. We've got 87 minutes until Seraphine's core winds hit, and if one more cable fails, Coastal Crown's Act of God clause kicks in. The haven is condemned, and Dad pockets a $30 million disaster grant. That's the Bat Kong, a family fortune built on other people's evacuations. I duck beneath the trunk where Abby and Sergeant Malik plot triage. My hands shake so hard the phone stream jostles. But 180K viewers stay glued digital sandbags against corporate floodwater. I fish out Grandma's letter, flicking droplets off the envelope. We never finished reading. If the tree still stands, love still stands. Check the Dewey 976.8 cal. Dewey Grandma was pure librarian to the end. Cal is Savannah's Caldwell Collection Civil War-era maps stored downtown. Abby catches the hint mid-saw cut. If there's a map, maybe the oak sits on protected historic ground. That would nullify Coastal Crown's disaster clause. Eyes blazing. She shoves her safety goggles up. Give me 15 minutes and a VPN. Non vatubaswat hien Reggie Caldwell himself, octogenarian historian. Cane like a saber rolls up in a mud-splattered Subaru. Summoned by Abby's midnight email blast. My great-granddaddy surveyed these islands, he says. Voice rough as Spanish moss. Live oak marks the edge of a freedmen burial plot. Undisclosed to stop grave robbers. Federal heritage trumps any marina grant. He unfurls a parchment scan. X marks the exact root crown we're fighting to save. Hook locked. You hear that? Chat, I pan the camera. This isn't just a tree. It's a headstone for souls who outran chains. Comments erupt, fist emojis. Broken chains gifs. Not one more inch trending. High-risk action number 1. The foyer grenade. Reggie needs proof on government letterhead. Maria patches me to Senator Wilcox's night aide, an Iraq vet who once owed Malik a life. I email the Cayman kickback files Frank provided and the barge benzene video. Subject line possible FEMA fraud, grant abuse. The aide promises to wake the senator. 30 minutes later, a ping hits my inbox. Expedited FOIA packet attached, Freedmen Cemetery. Isle of Hope, active cultural review since 1987. Dad's grant can't touch a federal review site. Twist number 1. The files expose something uglier. Coastal Crown lobbied FEMA yesterday to redraw the review boundary 200 feet west. Right through the Haven's rec room, but outside the Oaks drip line. Loophole on a loophole. Chat loses it. They're grave washing for profit. Symbol echo number 1. Wind rattles the last seashell shard in my pocket. I tie it to the newly spliced guy wire. Its click-click becomes our storm gauge if the shell falls silent. Tension's gone, and the brace failed. High-risk action number 2, cable heist. We still need a final cable rated for 50-plus gusts. Malik eyes Dad's idle crane, steel tow line coiled like a python. I swallow. You want me to borrow that? I'll handle the bolt cutters. He grins. You run distraction. I stride toward Dad's command trailer, live stream rolling. He steps out, raincoat gleaming, still filming your own downfall. Kid. His smirk curdles when I shove the foyer packet against the lens. Grave robbers never win Oscars. Mark, while he sputters. Malik's crew ghosts behind the crane, severing the tow line. I keep talking, louder, forcing Dad into the camera's frame so Chat can meme his shock. The stolen cable zooms past us on a garden cart just as police sirens whoop at the gate. Twist number 2. The cops aren't here for Malik, they hand Dad a subpoena. Senator Wilcox's office just faxed allegations of grant fraud to state investigators. Tracy's livestream flicks off. Optics are radioactive now. Symbol echo number 2. We thread the purloined cable around the trunk. The seashell taps in triple time. Rain pinging like timpani. Abby's laptop shows projected gusts climbing to 52 mph. Our new line holds at 55. Storm surge and moral undertow. Gale bands slap the island, bending palm fronds like surrender flags. Power cuts. Our generator sputters but recatches. In the flickering light, residents huddle in the chapel. Maria reciting Psalm 46. Though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, I feel my lungs echo the cadence, grounding the panic swelling behind my ribs. Show. Don't tell. So I turn the camera on my own mud-caked face. Let viewers read the terror and resolve. Dad skulks near the causeway, phone glued to ear. Frank limps up, rain plastering his tie. Mark, it's over. Bank pulled our line. Your margin called at dawn. Dad shoves him aside, sloshing through swampy grass toward his Escalade. On cue, the wind shifts. A rogue limb, half cracked since earlier tears-free, spears the SUV roof. Alarm yelps. Dad stares. Soaked. Empire literally impaled. Chat goes feral with RIP Escalade memes. But Schadenfreude dies fast. The limb crushed the only bridge lane open for emergency vehicles. If someone gets hurt now, no ambulance reaches them. Consequences circle back like boomerangs. High-risk action number 3. The human chain. Malik radios County Dispatch. Blocked bridge. High water. They can't clear it in the gale. That means we're the first responders. Maria checks head count. 1 resident missing. Mrs. Avery, the WW2 code breaker. Her bus sobbed away before the halt. She must have slipped off. Confused. Live oak branches whip overhead as Abby and I plunge into the flooded garden maze. Phone flashlight slicing sheets of rain. Seashell indicator fades behind us, clinking steady. Don't go silent. Little witness? We find Mrs. Avery by the gazebo, clutching a photo of her late husband in uniform. He hated storms. She murmurs. Water swirls calf-deep. The gazebo creaks. I secure her in a fireman carry, my spine screaming. Abby radios Malik. Volunteers form a human chain through the current, yellow slickers glowing like lanterns in the torrent. We pass Mrs. Avery hand over hand to safety. The chat spams heart emojis and Grandma Strong. Symbol echo Tharbor 3 and Mini Peak. When we reach the oak, the seashell indicator is gone. Cable hums too softly slack. No winds shifted again. Tension moved to the southern brace. Abby's app reads 54 MEP. Past our design tolerance. Need more ballast, she yells. Malik eyes the half-filled diesel generator tank. We anchor it to the south brace, counterweight the gust. He cranks the valve, flooding a sandbag trench. 50 gallons of diesel become 500 pounds of force, ugly but effective. Cable sings but holds. Trunk sway falls back inside safety limit. Mini victory roars through the crowd. Even the inspector high-fives Abby. Ketmo. Dawn verdict looms. First gray smudge of dawn bleeds over the horizon. The storm eye edges north. Winds dip to 40, still brutal but survivable. Sirens finally crest the cleared causeway. State heritage officers, media vans, 2 FEMA auditors and windbreakers. The lead auditor squints at the oak. Braces, seas of citizens wearing homemade Save the Oak ponchos. He checks my live stream on his own phone. Chat spams welcome. Looks like citizen infrastructure beat corporate infrastructure tonight. He mutters. But the man beside him, Coastal Crown's lobby attorney, grins. Temporary victory. FEMA's grant still stands. Marina plan just pivots to Memorial Park with luxury docks. Heritage plus development, best of both worlds. I flash the cemetery map. You can't build over graves. He winks. Prove they're there without exhumations. That takes a year. Our crews will pour concrete in a month. My stomach flips. Exhaustion sours into dread. We save the oak from wind and chainsaws, but red tape might still fry its roots. I feel the absence of the seashell silence too loud. Grandma's voice whispers, frame the truth before someone edits it. Truth meaning headlines. Drone LiDAR scans, ground-penetrating radar. LiDAR. My drone is still intact, loaded with the latest photogrammetry suite. If I fly a dawn grid, software can map subsurface anomalies, unmarked graves within hours. Evidence before Coastal Crown's Monday press conference. I glance at Malik. How much diesel left for generator charge? Enough for one more miracle, he says. Hurricane Seraphine's tail whips the marsh as I decide rules or routes. I throttle the drone up into restricted airspace. My fingers prickle. FAA fines can run 6 figures. But Reconstruction-era graves can't plead their own case. The motors whine against crosswinds. Raindrops spatter the lens like molten glass. 40 feet, 80, 120. I lock altitude in and engage LiDAR. Green beams strobe the sodden earth. Mapping micro swells in the soil even a groundhog would miss. Each pass uploads raw point clouds to an open-source server where thousands of armchair cartographers, my livestream army, spin polygons in real time. Chat windows bloom with 3D renderings, shallow humps in perfect rows beneath the oak's drip line. One viewer overlays the foyer cemetery map. Anomalies align within 2 inches. Digital resurrection. A gust jerks the drone sideways. Propellers shrieking. Warning, critical battery, 15%. I punch, return to home, below. Dad's lobby attorney shouts at state troopers, pointing skyward. Unauthorized flight confiscate that drone. Troopers jog toward my launch pad. Malik steps in their path, arms crossed, axe handles shoulders, promising paperwork nightmares. The drone drops into my hands. I yank the SD card, slip it beside Grandma's seashell shard. Evidence and memory, side by side. Consequence, hour 7. Arrow 5 A.M. Storm bands recede, leaving a sky the color of pewter coffee. FEMA auditors review the LiDAR overlay on a tablet, while Reggie Caldwell hovers, cane tapping. Every bump is a borrowed heartbeat. He murmurs. The lead auditor nods. Tethered jaw tight. We'll issue a 90-day stop work order pending archaeological excavation. Crowd erupts, fists pump. But Dad barrels forward, raincoat flapping like a wounded sail. Archaeology takes years. He snarls. 18 months without revenue collapses the capital stack. Investors sue, jobs evaporate. This town will thank me when it has tax dollars instead of headstones. Reggie lifts his cane. This town buried freedom fighters here a century before you learned to spell appraisal. Boy. Gasps ripple. Dad's face mottles crimson. He motions to Tracy, who's already live again, spinning a heritage-honoring luxury park narrative. Comments roast her faster than charcoal briquettes. That's when the twist knifes and a sheriff deputy hands me a summons FAA violation notice delivered at Dad's request. $25,000 penalty plus potential license revocation. My knees turn water. Dad smiles like a wolf tasting marrow. Play with drones. Pay the fines, he whispers. Inner spiral adrenaline drains, leaving hollow ache behind my sternum. Was breaking the law worth it if fines strangle our legal fight? Maria finds me slumped beneath the brace cables, eyes burning saltier than storm spray. She presses a thermos of café con leche into my palm. Fear's loud, but you're louder, she says. The coffee scalds my tongue awake. The shell in my pocket taps as if agreeing. Grandma's envelope, still unread, lies folded in my jacket. I crack the seal, breath hitching. Liam. Stories outlive statutes. If my tree becomes your cross, nail the truth there anyway. A postscript, call Channel 12. Ask for Annie Case. I blink. Annie was Grandma's star library volunteer turned investigative anchor. High-risk action media blitz. I dial Annie on speaker. She answers mid-news van chaos. Helen Dorsey. For you, I'd film my own arraignment. What do you have? In 30 seconds, I paint the saga benzene dumps. Grave plot, FAA fine. Annie laughs, sharp, hungry. We love David versus Goliath. especially when Goliath bills FEMA. Her crew is en route with satellite uplink that can't be silenced by local injunctions. But airtime buys minutes, not immunity. The lobby attorney files an emergency motion to seize all illicit data devices. Court hearing set for 10 of 3 counties inland classic venue shopping. We have less than 3 hours to copy every byte and courier backups off-site. Symbol Echo Data Sanctuary. Abby rifles the Haven's craft closet. Emerges with a battered bookmobile cart, Grandma's monthly outreach relic. We load laptops, hard drives, the tin deed box, the cracked seashell wired as a makeshift drawer pull. Volunteers wheel the cart through puddles toward Malik's fire truck. Its steel compartments become temporary Fort Knox. The symbolism's on the nose and perfect knowledge on wheels, headed for safety. Frank, still shaking, hands me a cashier's check his 401k cashed at dawn. Pay the FAA fine before Dad leans it. Consider it penance. My throat locks. I squeeze his shoulder. Redemption wears many coats. Courtroom collision. Larn. 58 M. We burst into Chatham County Annex, suits soaked, boots muddy, bookmobile cart squeaking over marble. Judge Bernadette Grant peers over bifocals like a hawk who skipped breakfast. Dad's team flanks one side, legal pads pristine. Our side looks like storm refugees clutching USB sticks. The lobby attorney argues first, Your Honor. The defendant conducted an illegal aerial survey, endangering relief helicopters. Data procured unlawfully must be impounded. Judge Grant swivels to me. Mr. Dorsey, why violate FAA regs? My pulse flicks wild Morse code. Because graves don't cry loud enough to trend. I open the LiDAR overlay on courtroom screens. Ghostly ridgelines bloom evidence swirling like spectral fingerprints. Annie's live feed beams the display statewide. Gallery gasps. A bailiff crosses himself. Maria testifies to benzene levels. Reggie affirms historic registry. Malik recounts the cable heist with unrepentant grin. Each voice is a hammer, driving nails into Coastal Crown's coffin. Then Dad takes the stand. Charisma dialed to 11. He swears under oath he never approved illegal dumping. Annie's producer messages me mid-testimony. We found the barge captain ready to go on record bribery and midnight orders. Judge allows remote witness. The captain appears via Zoom. Nervous but clear, Mark Dorsey authorized disposal to fast-track soil compliance. Dad's eyes flicker. Titanic spotting iceberg. Verdict and fallout. Judge Grant rules FAA fine stands, but is stayed pending federal whistleblower review. LiDAR data admitted under public interest doctrine. Immediate injunction on all Coastal Crown activity. And Mr. Dorsey, she adds. Gavel poised. Prepare for criminal environmental charges. Flashbulbs pop. Dad's cuffed outside the courthouse. Rain finally easing as if sky itself signs the warrant. Tracy bolts, phone forgotten, mascara flooding like oil spill. Chat on Annie's stream surpasses 500K concurrent viewers. Hashtags migrate to national ranks. But victory tastes carbonated bubbles fast, burn quick. FEMA tweets Grant suspended pending investigation. Funds may be reassigned to alternate contractors. Translation resorts dead. But so is the 200-job promise locals counted on. Social media turns. Some calling me tree hugger terrorist killing economic hope. The American dream cuts both ways. Aftershock at the Haven back on Isle of Hope by dusk. We rethread the seashell to the stabilized cable. Winds gentle now. Shell chiming soft syncopation with bullfrogs. Residents string solar fairy lights Abby donated. The oak glows like stained glass against twilight. For the first time in 48 hours, my spine unclenches. Maria lights votive candles along the burial perimeter. Mrs. Avery taps Morse code into the air with her cane old habits. Frank grills donated hot dogs. Laughter cracked, but real. Community over capital. At least for tonight. I start a final stream. Voice gravelly. We saved more than wood and shingles, we saved memory. But tomorrow the paperwork war starts again. We'll need pro bono archaeologists, grant writers, ADA ramps, you name it. If you've got skills, slide into our DMs. Comments burst with electricians, musicians, even a retired judge. The seashell's clink rises behind me, same fragile timbre Grandma loved. I turn and freeze. The shell isn't on the cable. It hangs from Maria's rearview mirror in the distance. The sound I'm hearing comes from overhead, an exact twin chime slipping in the breeze. Looped to a limb I never touched. Someone replaced it during the chaos, Dad, unlikely. Grandma's voice feels present in the melody, hinting unfinished measures. Abby calls from the porch, face lit by laptop glow. USGS satellite shows sinkhole activity near the Western Garden. Could be empty graves, or could undermine the oak's root plate if we don't shore it tonight. She bites her lip. The stop work order halts heavy machinery. We'll have to brace manually again. My muscles scream for sleep. FAA fine still unpaid. But the chat is already rallying night shift ready. The storm gave us breathing room. Geology just stole it back. A blood-red moon sinks toward the western marsh, painting the live oak braces in rusted light. My phone timer reads Oro 3:14 a.m. Less than 5 hours until the geotechnical crew arrives. If they find the sinkhole unshored, the tree flips from heritage to hazard, and coastal crown's legal vultures reclaim the island. The injustice feels biblical. Survive a hurricane. Lose to a paperwork sink. Wind has calmed, but the ground squelches under every step. I kneel at the crescent-shaped depression widening near the Western Garden. When I press a shovel handle into the soil, it sinks like a spoon into pudding. Abby's LiDAR overlay floats on my tablet. Red voids bloom beneath us like empty lungs. Hope and topsoil are equally thin. I open a fresh stream, dark circles tattooed under my eyes. Voice sandpaper. Folks, one last push. We need 300 sandbags and a lattice of reclaimed lumber before sunup. If you live within 5 miles, your insomnia just found a purpose. Comments ignite on my way, bringing feed sacks, vigil music. Third-party cavalry answers first. Pastor Lennox from First Ahem E pulls up with a flatbed of pew planks. Chapel is mid-renovation thanks to hurricane leaks. Sacred wood for sacred ground, he says, tipping his hat. Symbol layers itself. My chest tightens with gratitude. Malik orchestrates a bucket brigade. Volunteers passing 50-pound sandbags, shoulder to shoulder, under camping lanterns. Maria's kids blast Zydeco from a Bluetooth speaker, turning exhaustion into rhythm. The seashell chime now rehung alongside its twin keeps time with thin crystalline ticks, as if Grandma herself is counting reps. Dad is absent, after his courthouse cuff walk. A hedge fund friend wired bail on the condition he maintain distance from ongoing investigations. Good. I can save the roots without his shadow eclipsing each lamp. But at 0407, the twist barrels in on bald tires. Dad's black Escalade limps up the causeway. Roof still cratered from the fallen branch. 2 deputies tail him. Sirens off, but lights spinning. Dad steps out, no entourage, no coat. Just prison-issued slippers and the look of a man who's seen tomorrow's headline. I square my shoulders. Court ordered you away from the site. He lifts a muddied duffel. Judge amended conditions. I'm your workforce, not your warden. Community service starts now. Shock ripples through the crowd. Even Malik's jaw drops. Dad unzips the bag, revealing steel anchor rods and a pneumatic driver. Saw your stream, he mutters. If that sinkhole swallows the tree. Shareholders still sue me for fraud. Helping you is cheaper than jail. A mercenary's redemption arc isn't pretty, but I'll take the muscle. We station him with Malik driving anchor rods through lattice beams into stable clay. Every pound of the pneumatic driver rattles my ribs. But the void shrinks centimeter by centimeter as sand sluices in. The injustice flips back on itself, with a man who nearly felled history now props it up to save his own skin. America loves a profit motive. I'll weaponize his. Abby darts over, tablet glowing. Void fills 50%. But seepage continues. We need quick-set slurry or gravel. Reggie Caldwell leans on his cane, eyes gleaming. I know a forgotten oyster shell midden half a mile south colonial trash heap. Crushed shell binds like concrete. Pastor Lennox volunteers his youth group van. Minutes later, headlights bob through marsh trails hauling prehistoric calcium. With each wheelbarrow dumped, the lattice stiffens. The seashell chime rings louder. First cymbal echo. Grandma's voice loops my mind. Frame the truth before someone edits it. I snap drone stills of every construction phase, GPS tagged. No corporate lawyer will claim shoddy workmanship later. 0512 M. The sky blushes coral. Geotech trucks appear on the causeway. Orange strobes blinking. My gut flips inspection time. Dad wipes sweat, breathing hard, hands streaked oyster white. Maria passes him a water bottle. He nods, eyes softening before re-armoring behind mirrored aviators. Dr. Elena Brooks, federal geologist, exits the lead truck. She's compact, all business. And twist within twist wears a Coastal Crown consultant badge beside her USGS ID. Conflict of interest, glowing neon. She circles the oak, jotting notes. I step forward. Ma'am, we've stabilized the void to FEMA standards. As built docs uploaded here. I hand her a tablet. She skims, expression unreadable, then points to the seashell chime. Tree stress indicators. It stops clinking when cables slacken, Abby explains. Acoustic early warning. Brooks arches a brow, impressed despite herself. She signals her crew. Ground-penetrating radar sweeps the lattice. Data pours into monitors, voids now faint gray. Pressure within safe thresholds. Dad exhales. I match him. Surprise mirroring surprise. But injustice claws back Brooks's consultant badge. Pings phone call. She steps away, voice low. Minutes later, she returns, face shuttered. Stabilization adequate, she says. However, Federal Maritime Board just rezoned this parcel for critical infrastructure dredging. Heritage protections pause pending review. Gasps. Dad smirks, lobbyists still dialing favors. My pulse spikes. We saved graves, braced roots, and now a bureaucratic pen threatens extinction. Time for the final high-risk action. I tap my live stream. Hey, Savannah, remember when we crowd-mapped graves overnight? Let's map public sentiment faster. I drop a petition link demanding national monument status for Isle of Hope Freedman Cemetery. Within 60 seconds, signatures cascade civil rights groups, veteran associations, even coastal fishing unions pissed about potential dredging. Brooks's phone explodes with notifications. Her crew whispers at the tsunami of support. Livestream passes 1 million concurrent. Maria hoists the seashell chime so viewers hear its steady tick. Symbol echo number 2. Our ancestors' lullaby is louder than lobbyists, she says, voice cracking. Brooks confers with her deputy, then addresses the camera, something no bureaucrat does lightly. Public engagement noted. Under 36, CFR 800.9, widespread opposition warrants immediate cessation of dredge planning. She signs a field directive. Cheers detonate. I feel the oak's roots sigh. Morning sun finally crowns the marsh. The oak stands framed by violet haze, braces gleaming. Volunteers collapse onto wet grass, laughing like children after a snowball fight. Dad lingers at the lattice, runs a finger along the anchor rod. Holds better than rebar, he admits. I hand him Grandma's second seashell, the one that vanished, then reappeared. She kept sets, one for truth, one for forgiveness. He turns it over, unsure, then pockets it with a nod, neither surrender nor victory, something raw. As cameras click, I realize our revenge story has mutated into a resurrection saga. Yes, Dad will face trial. Yes, Coastal Crown might rebrand and regroup. But the oak now anchors more than property, it anchors collective memory. I close the stream with a CTA from the heart. If you ever feel small, remember we braced a 300-year-old giant with pew boards, oyster shells, and Wi-Fi. Like, comment, subscribe. But mostly show up for the next fight in your own backyard. Symbol echo number 3 rings as wind flutters the twin chimes on truth. One forgiveness, interlacing notes. We pack gear. Abby's drone grabs one last cinematic arc, sun flare through moss. Prayer candles flickering along grave boundaries, and residents dancing a slow waltz under fairy lights. Editing brain whispers, thumbnail text, Live Oak versus lobbyists. But I let the moment breathe, uncut. Walking to the van, I find Dad waiting. FAA dropped the fine. He mutters, anonymous donor. He won't meet my eyes. Redemption seed maybe, or brand management. Either way. The oak benefits. I drive across the causeway. Tires humming. In the mirror. The haven shrinks, but the chime's echo lingers. Phantom audio under the engine drone. Grandma was right. Stories outlive statutes. Heat lightning flickers offshore. Silhouette of cranes idle in distant marinas. Sea level charts on my dashboard predict Isle of Hope will sit below hurricane surge lines in 20 years. The fight will morph from chainsaws to climate bonds, from lobbyists to levees, and I'll be there. Drone in sky, seashell in pocket, framing truth before anyone tries to edit it. You with me? Drop still standing in the comments. Share this saga and ring that bell so you're on call for the next battle. Ancestors are watching. Roots are deep. Our job is to keep them fed with sunlight, footage, and fearless love.